ObiDatti Family Television is a platform. You're welcome to ObiDatti Updates right here on ObiDatti Family TV. My name is Kamsi, and usually on this show, I hold it alongside with a beautiful female, but today I'm with a handsome male, you know. I'm moving from XX to XY today. How are you doing, Chooks?
Sorry, I'm good, Kamsi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You caught me off guard there. Yeah, from beautiful female to not so good looking dude. But
No,
you have to manage me for today.
No, good looking. Good looking, I must commend, you know. So it's actually amazing to have you here, Chooks. Let's discuss some of the matters that have been moving forth, going on in the campaign train and even in this campaign season. Looking at how our principal, Mr. Peter Obi, moved the train to different places and how the acceptance has been. We saw what happened in Ogun State and a lot of other states. But we're beginning with next year, the poll that was organized by Next Year, and which saw the Labour Party candidate, our principal, Mr. Peter Obi, as the leading candidate, winning that poll with 37% of the votes. And we saw the remaining candidates struggling for the remaining about 57, you know, within themselves, because there were about 6% that still remained undecided about where to place their thumb that day. So it was actually very amazing to see that Mr. Peter Obi, our own principal, has been able to conquer. This is the seventh, if my calculations are correct, the seventh poll that has been organized online that Nigerians have needed to come out and voice out who they are going to vote for on the 25th, which is about 20 days from now, or 19 days, as the case may be, you know, depending on how you're counting.
And these polls are not a hoax. They are actually a clear indication of people's choice, you know, because these are online polls that are being conducted to kind of determine how the actual election is going to pan out. And if you look at it, I think Nigerians are making the right decision so far, because we've seen the Labour Party candidates, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, leading in the polls. And we can't wait for this to materialize come the main election on 25th. So far, so good. I think, but there's still work to be done, you know, because I think he needs to win in 24 states, if I'm correct.
Yes.
More for him to be to emerge winner in the general election. So I don't think, in as much as the polls are somehow tilting towards our favor, I think there's still need for more work to be done. You know, for those that still need to join the ministry, you know, for us to still go out and convince them and give them reason why they should come on board to make Nigeria better. But so far, so good.
But before even looking at the negations, you know, you spoke about one of the negations already, and that's the fact that we need to, you know, gain more ground in some states so we could meet the 25% mark across 24 states, just as stated in the Constitution of Nigeria. But the most amazing thing, the positivities right now, looking at some states where Mr. Peter Obi was winning with as far margin as 93–94%, leaving the remaining candidates, 16 of them, to struggle and scuffle with just a little 7 insignificant percent in the population. You know, people who are still very undecided and probably not looking towards the direction of you know, a better Nigeria. But right now, we saw in some states, about 7–8 states, where it was a 90% population win. All of the voters who came out, 90% and above of them, came out and placed and voted, polled, you know, towards the direction of Mr. Peter Obi. And also we saw in some states where he did a clear above 70%. We also saw in some regions where he won with a cumulative of 90%, like the Southeast and also somewhere the South as well. And all you know, emerging states, left, right, and center. Okay, but that's for the positivities. But for the negations, you already mentioned one of them, which means you know, we have to cut across the votes to make sure that we meet 25% in 24 states, in so many states, to make sure that the popular vote is not just the win, but also spread across regions effectively to make sure. So we're looking out to people in the Northwest. There's still a lot still needs to be done in the Northwest, because I think the Northwest needs to be educated more on why Mr. Peter Obi is the best candidate for the election come the for the presidency rather come the 2023 elections that will be happening on the 25th of February 2023. It's just amazing to see how a lot of people are already, getting into the light. But I still want to give it to people in the Northwest. I want to give it to them. You guys are doing so much. Looking at, usually, I can remember we had a guest who told us that in some states they used to be very, intolerant when it comes to matters with religion and also cultural bias and all of that. But right now we've seen that paradigm shift. From moving from worse to good, from the usual to what it is and what it's supposed to be. So right now, Mr. P2B is really taking it to a different level in terms of the politicking and how the political hemisphere is looking at the time.
Yeah, true. And if you look at it, I think even in the core northern states, if you look at his performance, where you have the opposition emerging, if you look at the Labour Party performance there, it is not so abysmal, if you ask me. And this goes to show that this candidate has become a generally accepted candidate when it comes to Nigerian transformation. Even though some people, based on region and because the truth that these factors will still come to play when it comes to the general election. But if you look at the overall perspective, you'll find that the Labour Party seems to have been the party, the special bride. Like, people are beginning to see that this party is the party to identify with. This is the party to lead Nigeria out from the abysmal situation that we are currently. So I think, God willing, come the general election, the remaining percentage we need will definitely be gotten. But like I said, that creates room for more work to be done, especially in the Northwest, like you mentioned. People there need to still come on board and still go down to grassroots and give people a reason why they should vote for the Labour Party
candidates. Okay, Drew, and we'll also be talking about how presidential candidate Mr. P2B has also reacted to the Naira redesign. He made a tweet concerning his reaction to the Naira redesign and how Nigerians need to have some sort of sympathy towards the CBN and also to the federal government, and also give them time because of the way at which the country is right now. The country is in a serious mess. We're seeing videos daily how people sleep at ATM machines so they could just be the first to be able to get the cash or the new Naira notes. And it's also been stressful trying to even get the new notes from banks to money agents of banks, even down to people who own stores, who own supermarkets, who sell wares and all of that. Trying to get the new cash from them is always a problem, because sometimes you even pay, if you pay with an old cash, they don't want to give you change in new cash. So all of this are the problems that we're facing. They are very significant problems, but the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has come to tell Nigerians to please, at this time, should resist from rioting and all of that. Rather, we should look towards getting ready for the election, 25th of February, and also play on a cool mode. Try to accept the no cash policy in cases where you can accept the no cash policy, and also in cases where you can't, please just maintain your cool, because we believe that from today's Monday, so from today moving forward, we're expecting to see good change in terms of improvements, in terms of the flow of the new Naira notes into the hands of the public. Yeah,
true. We've seen quite some disturbing videos with regards to that. We've seen people stripping themselves naked in banks. We've seen people, protesting, demolishing properties and all that. And I think the banking system also needs to help Nigerians, because when you introduce a no cash policy, you have to give people benefit of doubt, provide network for them. Some banks, I don't want to mention names, but I know a particular bank that I'm using, that they've had bad network for days now. You can't transfer, you can't withdraw, and people are frustrated. And when people are frustrated, you can expect one outcome. They're going to be in distress and probably cause unrest. But just like P2B rightly, our candidate P2B rightly advised that people should be calm. I'm sure the banks are working around the clock to resolve these issues, to get this money to be in circulation, and also to provide the network for people to actually adopt and use this so-called cashless policy. Because if you don't give people cash, and you don't give them network to do transfers, I don't understand how you want them to survive. So, but I believe the appropriate authorities or people concerned are actually making efforts to get to the root of this and resolve it.
Yes, like you said, they're making efforts, and there's a lot of concerns concerning this issue. A lot of concerns are rising. But we're also pleading to the banks at this time, even while a lot of Nigerians are trying to be understanding, please put together mitigation policies to be able to, reduce the severeness of this situation on Nigerians. We've seen how a lot of Nigerians, like you said, a viral video of a man who went to the bank and stripped and was crying. All he needed was to withdraw money to get food to eat, and a lot of other things that you see Nigerians cry about. While on my way to work today, I had to I saw a lady I had to help who was looking for someone, if the boss could convey her because she didn't have fiscal cash on her, and she was heading to work early this morning as well. And those are the kind of things that you see happening on a daily. So it's really a problem right here in Nigeria, and we're saying to the federal government, to the CBN governor, to the commercial banks, because it looks like the CBN is doing their own little part to make things work right, but some of these commercial banks prefer to do illegal businesses, prefer to run into business without run into all sorts of scrupulous businesses, just to rip off Nigerians and reroute to the wrong hands and corrupt hands.
So, I don't know if you saw the video that trended sometime last week. I think I saw that video where a particular bank, in the vote room, they were hiding the new Naira note behind the old Naira note, and it was quite a large amount of them, quite a large amount. I think it was the bank, I don't know if the bank manager, but there was a woman in the background instructing them to bring out those Naira notes. Do you understand? So I think there is still some criminality going on when it comes to this new Naira note. Maybe some banks, I want to believe, are hoarding it, maybe selling it to people that might actually need. I don't know, but I believe the regulatory bodies, if there are regulatory bodies involved in this, they need to come in and make sure that this money are in circulation. Because if it's not in circulation, then it's very difficult for people to actually make purchase and use it.
Whenever we speak about corruption, it just seems like corruption is just geared towards just politicians. But it's not just politicians. An everyday Nigerian could be a corrupt person. That bank manager, that bank staff, trying to hoard away large amounts of new Naira notes so it doesn't get to the public. He's a corrupt person. Sure. You're not letting it infiltrate to the public. You're not letting it get to people who actually need them. And we're seeing people suffer. People go through the worst kind of things, and you decide to play on just corruption. We've seen cases of the ICPC heading towards some commercial banks making arrests, getting people interrogated, and we hope that continues. Because even with all of this, some bank managers, some head of operation in banks are still very adamant in terms of letting cash flow. And also, I believe the CBN that put this policy in place would also have considered what amount of time it would take to print. And if you're going to be taking 22.4 trillion naira back from Nigerians in old notes, you should have a proper 22.4 trillion naira to replace for them in new notes.
Yeah, I think so. But if you listen to what the CBN has been saying, especially the statement coming from the CBN governor, you find out that CBN is assuring Nigeria, or assures Nigeria, that they printed enough money, there's enough money to go around. I think they made this provision because I'm sure they must have captured it before designing the Naira notes.
If we're saying, sorry to cut you, but if we're saying the CBN is assuring Nigerians that they have printed enough Naira notes, I can't count, or I could count, rather, the number of bullion vans that I see move from banks daily.
I think the problem might actually be this hoarding problem we're looking at, because I believe this money is out there, but some people are laying hold on it and withholding it for if the
CBN, this is not far-fetched. This is not far-fetched. The CBN is also operating a corrupt policy, and that is the reason why they can't point out fingers. This is a situation of, I am Kamsi. I give you money to give to Nigerians, and Nigerians don't have the money. I have to point fingers back at you that I gave you money. Why not put names to the public? The thing is, we wake up every morning and we see corrupt politicians stealing our oil, politicians is the name of nobody. Mention names. You have a list. We've seen this time after time. We have a list of people who do this. Or are you trying to tell that there's no accountability in the system? Are you just throwing money into the air and expecting some people to pick up and give to other Nigerians? No, that's not what you're doing. You're giving people money. So why not call out the names of those people that you are giving money?
I think a certain MD of a popular bank has been invited by the House to explain what happened to the millions of a certain amount of new naira note that was given to him to circulate. Because I'm sure if there is corruption going on, I want to believe it's from the banks, because the CBN must have made this money available. But if you are saying they have the right to call names, or they should call names, I want to agree with you. But I think where the actual criminality is going on is within the banks, the banking system itself. The banks that are holding on to this cash or trying to hold it in the market, or if I will call it the black market, preventing this money from going into circulation. Now, there's a CBN order, if I may understand, last week that ordered bank to start paying the new naira notes over the counter. Now, if you still go to bank as of today, you still find it difficult to have access to these new naira notes. If you want to give it, they'll give you a few amount, maybe 10,000 or 20,000 if you are lucky.
How many of those banks? You know, we speak to a lot of people. We speak to even bank managers. We speak to these bank managers are not ghosts. They're people.
True.
They have friends. They have family. I have a friend who's a bank manager. I have family who's a bank manager. I have a brother who's a bank manager. So we talk to them, and we know this is the problem. CBN is telling you that they have given money to these banks, making you Nigerians be able to give money to this bank. And if the bank is paying 12.5 billion naira worth of old naira notes to CBN, and CBN is giving the bank 30 million naira daily to give you, it's going to take them nothing less than 400 days to complete the 12 billion naira that has been given to them in old naira notes. And that is the problem that we are facing here in Nigeria. You can't collect all and start giving back little by little. If they are stating that they printed, I remember there was a news of 22.7 trillion naira being in circulation. How long do you think it's going to take the CBN to print 22.7 trillion naira to fill up for that so they want to collect? So we're looking at a case of share scarcity for a very long time. If we're being realistic, for a very long time, it's going to get to a point where it might be ameliorated, but not eradicated, because you can print 22.7 trillion. We're speaking about our currency that they started printing since as far back as 2016 to 2023 or 2022. Yeah.
True, but
6 years.
If you look at it again, you will still find that the motive is still to encourage cashless policy, for people to start using more of transfers. So you might actually not have the exact amount of currency
that was taken.
Yeah, that was taken.
But that is the problem, and that's the argument on ground. If you want to encourage a cashless policy, and that's the reason why, don't make Nigerians believe that you're giving the banks enough. Yes, there are corrupt bank managers. I don't want to take it out from the equation that they have corrupt bank managers who are hoarding to give to highest bidder. Yeah. But this is always going to happen. If you're trying to forcefully, in that manner, take the economy to be cashless immediately, then you have to understand that these are the things that will come into place, because the highest bidders that need the cash the most will be the ones to pay more to get the cash. The normal Nigerian, like everyday Nigerian, will just be there waiting for money that will never get to them. And we're seeing this now. There's now an exchange of there's been jokes about naira gaining against the naira. Sure. And all of that. Sure. And how POS agents are now being very
and I think
meticulous.
Our mentality also has a part to play, because trust me, I believe people are still getting these naira notes and holding them on their own. I've seen persons that have withdrawn these naira notes and kept it, they're not spending it.
They're waiting to the deadline of February 10th.
Exactly. They are waiting, or maybe anticipating. They might call it a measure, for rainy days. I don't know how to put it, but for them, it's kind of a damage control, or a measure to forestall any further this thing. But this money are meant to be spent, meant to be in circulation. So when you collect this money and you keep it, some collect it and keep it and prefer to do transfers. It doesn't make the money go around. You're supposed to collect the money and you spend it.
So the money stays in circulation. So I think it still goes down to sensitization. The CBN, I feel, didn't do enough when it comes to sensitizing the public with these naira notes and the measures to avoid what is going on now. The thing is, look at when 100 naira was redesigned. when they had the centenary notes. They used to celebrate 100 years from 1914. That's the amalgamation of Nigeria from 1914 to 2014. We had the 200 naira notes simultaneously used and rotated till we were able to totally phase out the old 100 naira notes and maintained our new 100 naira notes. Speak about the polymer notes when they were introduced. We had both in circulation, and little by little, the old 20, 10, and 5 naira phased out. You have a deadline to it, but let the deadline not be so strict. Push in enough money and allow circulation go round. The reason why Nigerians are hoarding, in quotes, is because of the fear of in crypto language, it's called FOMO. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out in the sense that you might have 10,000 naira worth of, which is actually what happened to a lot of people. A lot of organizations run down businesses because they have to go throw in all their old naira notes into the banks, and now they don't have money to. We saw lots and lots of cases like that. And now, if it was a case of, okay, you're going into the bank to pay in 500,000 worth of old naira notes, the bank tells you, okay, you have a bank account. What's going to happen is we'll give you 200,000 naira of new naira notes cash. 300,000 stays in your account. That is how to control,
to get the money circulating.
Circulation. Also control the so-called cashless policy that we're trying to drive. And if you ask me, what is even the problem in using cash? If we so much want to encourage a cashless policy, we don't have to force it. Yeah. It's going to happen genuinely, because sometimes the transfers are comfortable to make. I prefer being a transfer than having so much money in my possession. But still, there should be processes put in place. One of which is being able to have apps and online banking system that won't show me failed transaction, and I'll be debited for 14 days without receiving my money back. Yeah,
true. If you said that, I think I quite agree with you. But again, I think there is still very clear the benefit of the cashless policy. It solves a lot of problems. Look at the convenience. You're looking at the security, because let's take for instance the people that are into kidnapping. They normally demand their ransom in cash. So if they are not able to move some certain amount of money by cash, then you see that it kind of solves the problem somehow. So, but the problem we'll have is when it comes to providing the basic necessity for this to operate or for this function, which is, for in this case now, talking about network. Because it's one of the most frustrating issues we're having currently, where people can't get cash, they have money in the bank, and they can't spend it. They can't do transfers. You can't recharge airtime, from your bank account. You're just handicapped, and it's frustrating. So if you understand how someone will strip him or herself naked in a bank, you might think the person is insane, but trust me, there's a way
a level of frustration to it
drive you. You wouldn't know when you lose it.
You know, I saw a video of a woman who should be in her 50s, trying to jump the fence of a bank. Also saw a video of people who had to set up a musical band in front of a particular commercial bank. The truth is, a lot of Nigerians are frustrated. And I am also pro-cashless. But I have to say, you don't solve a problem by creating a bigger problem. Sure. Right now, we complain of trying to take away kidnapping so they don't ask for money in cash again and all of that. But now look at it. Look at the problem we're creating. The problem we are creating is even a bigger problem, because Nigerians now are out on the streets, sleeping on the road.
Demolishing
properties, being frustrated, doing what they're not supposed to do, creating a problem for the bigger society. Insecurity is rising. People will now be moved to stealing. People who have little cash on them will be afraid because they might get mobbed. POS agents are being robbed on a daily. Money mean daily. Okay, I just say that's right. Okay, but let's wrap up on this note, because we're already out of time on the ObiDatti update. Okay, so Chooks, any last words?
Well, I think like I always say, we'll hope for the best. I mean, at least we'll have a reason to hope. The election is forthcoming, 25th February, and we are hoping, we're optimistic that this time around we're going to get it right and be able to solve all these issues we're having as a country. Until then, let's just deal with it. you know, we can't kill ourselves.
Definitely.
We're already here. So, but we pray it gets better going forward.
Okay, so on that note, thank you so much for tuning in on this edition of ObiDatti Updates. Please make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to reach out to us, please make sure you hit us up on WhatsApp with a video of what you're doing for the ObiDatti campaign. Remember, we're very close to winning. All we need to do is more enlightenment and tighten our seatbelts and also put our leg on the throttle. Anything that blocks our way to success, we could jam up. Thank you so much. Do stay blessed. We love you, but God loves you more. Au revoir.